Good morning, everybody. This is Grant from State of the Spark, and I am super pumped about Spark Show number 273. Welcome to today's show where we're going to be talking about the one thing you need to be brave for in 2023. This is something I was super convicted on over the weekend through a series of conversations I had. And in my quiet time, I just came to this conclusion that there is a lot going on in our lives, but there's one particular thing you need to be brave for. But fun fact, if you can be brave for this one thing, you'll also set the tone for all the other good things that you want to come into your life. We're going to be covering that. We've got other news covering what AI is doing, because AI is doing some crazy things. It's actually kind of poning itself. We're also going to be covering very briefly the markets, and then we're going to be covering how tech is surpassing itself, even with satellite technology. We're going to be covering all of this and more. But before anything, you know what time it is. Morning cup of gratitude. What are you grateful for this morning? Tell me in the comments below what is getting you out of bed, what is motivating you when everything is difficult, what keeps you going, what are you most grateful for? I'll start. I am most grateful for a restful Sunday. I had a trashy Saturday night's worth of sleep, but my lovely wife, who's sitting right over there, really went out of her way to give me a restful Sunday. I slept until 7 p.m. or a.m. And for most of you who know me, that is like sleeping until noon for most people. I normally get up at 3:30. We were up late the night before doing important stuff, but I woke up and felt absolutely horrible on Sunday. And it took me a long time. I was able to get a nap, but I was finally able to get rest. And my Whoop tells me that I got 93% sleep. It was actually the highest, most restful night of sleep I had in a long time, probably because I abused my brain the night before. So I am grateful this morning, absolutely grateful this morning for restful Sundays. What are you grateful for? I'm also grateful very quickly that the World Cup was yesterday. A, it was a phenomenal game for those who watched. B, it's now gone for the next 4 years, and we can kind of put that behind us, except I really do think and predict that we're going to see a lot more reports and feedback on how absolutely human rights violated this particular World Cup was in Qatar. But that's for another conversation. That's not for today's conversation. Let's talk about other news. AI breaks new barriers for those who have not been paying attention. Chat GPT is an AI service that came out a few weeks ago, maybe months ago now. Now, OpenAI has been around for a long time. They're a company that's run by Sam Altman, who was the president and I think co-founder of Y Combinator. So he has led dozens of companies to success. He recently took over OpenAI because specifically of their technology with Chat GPT. We at Spark Sites are already changing our services because of the impact that ChatGPT has had just in the last 3 weeks as it comes to content creation. Now, here's a few quick points. ChatGPT will devastate Google search. We will see a change in Google search specifically because people are, even now, with ChatGPT in beta mode, people are going right now there to get answers to their questions about content, how-tos, how should I do this, what should I do about that, and it is a comprehensive, well thought out, non-plagiarized chatbot response. It is phenomenal. This will change nearly every industry that touches on information. I recommend you check it out. It will change how clients, your clients, search for answers, 100%. It will affect the cost and value of organic search and organic marketing and content creation. Do I think you need to stop writing blog posts? Absolutely not. But I think that this will make it so that your small business will require quality, unique, geographically unique content, but you will also need to be doing more videos so that you can speak to your clients and show your authority, show your personality, because we are now, because of ChatGPT, able to get thorough, quality answers to just about any question, any service. And what will make your small business stand out in the future is personality. You have to allow, you don't always have to be loud and crazy like Grant. You can be yourself, but you will have to let your personality of your company, and it doesn't even have to be you. Let's say that you have a poor personality, but a representative from your company will have to represent you because of what's going on with ChatGPT. Now, a few quick highlights. ChatGPT has crashed several times in the last 2 weeks because the world is tapping its servers and overusing it because it is so useful and full of quality. Another point is that it learns from every encounter. So as it spits out answers, and these answers are second to none. I demoed it with our Spark Sites team last week, and they were blown away by it. The AI learns from every encounter, which means even for the few wrong answers it's getting, you can rank it and actually tell it, give it direction for better answers. It is one of the smartest things I've ever seen. And last but not least, it is already connected for automations in your small business through the tool Zapier, if you've ever seen Zapier, through Google Sheets and writing macros. And we've even witnessed it writing thorough, code complete code, syntax accurate code, so you can be a non-coder and tell it to write a macro in Google Sheets and it will produce that macro. You can be a non-coder for WordPress and tell it to write a PHP plugin or to do X, Y, and Z, and it will write the code for you. It's nuts. If you want to learn more about ChatGPT, there's a great Business Insider article. I'll drop it in the comments right here. Boom. You should have that in your comments right there. Check that out. I don't care what industry you're in, experiment with this powerful tool. Like I said, with Spark Sites, it's already affecting our services. Let's quickly talk about the markets. So, a lot of you have probably been hearing all the horrible headlines about how up and down and sideways the market is. But I am here to share with you what's going on in TradFi markets and DeFi markets, basically the stock market and crypto, to show you that, yes, there are extreme ups and downs, but based on the last time I reported, episode 272, which was a few weeks ago now, the market is nearly absolutely break even, which means if you were paying attention, you could have made money on the swing trades. Or if you're buying and holding, you're not that bad off, even though we're in the middle of a recession. Fun fact, on Saturday's show, we discussed in detail on the Not Crypto Bros show how in the middle of the Great Depression, which we know is one of the worst markets the U.S. has ever seen, in the middle of the Great Depression, we actually turned to a bull market and spent half of the Great Depression coming out of the Great Depression with a bull market. What I mean is this. You hear the headlines, it's scary. You hear the history headlines, and that's scary when it comes to recessions and what's going on. But gas right now is sub $3 down the street. Thanks, Biden. And as we're going to see right now from TradFi and DeFi, markets are actually about break even from what I reported a few weeks ago. Let's look at this. The Dow was at 33,200. The last time I reported, it was at 33,600, just a little bit off. The S&P 500, good morning, Austin, piping in. My man, Austin, I got to meet his awesome team over the weekend, and I'm super excited about some of the projects. We'll sneak peek out, and Austin will have you on the show, as promised, probably this week, just to catch up on with some of these projects and announce to people that, yes, people are still building in Web3. Yes, people are still building in Discord, and there's lots of good things coming. So good morning, Austin. I hope you're doing great, sir. The S&P 500 is at 3,800, basically 3,890. And the last time I reported, it was at 3,900, only 100-point difference. The NASDAQ is at 11,300. The last time I reported, it was at 11,700. And this was weeks ago, folks. So yes, the market's been up, the market's been down. But if you check in at a pulse, you realize there's some pretty good stability with the market. Do I think the market's going to stay propped up? No, we'll cover that in a second. Bitcoin in the DeFi markets is at 16,700. When I reported last time, it was at 16,799. So yes, the Bitcoin has been up to around 18,000. It's been down to low 16,000, but right now it's at 16,700. Ethereum at 1,260. And guess what it was the last time I reported? 1,300. ADA or Cardano is at 26 cents. The last time I reported, it was at 33 cents a few weeks ago. XRP is at 34 cents. The last time I reported on XRP Ripple, it was at 35 cents. So no, I'm not trying to create a false sense of stability in cryptos and in stock market. Yes, these things swing wildly. But since I reported, nearly all of these numbers are not even moved in the needle. There's been very little change at all whatsoever. So I'm not saying these are stable investments. I'm saying don't panic. Remember smart investment principles. This is not investment advice. This is what I do for smart investments. Buy low, sell high. That's one principle. You can't guess the bottom and you can't guess the top. And you create your own economy. Now, Grant, man, I got to work 2 and 3 jobs. I get it. But you can break out of that cycle if you have the presentness of mind. And we're going to be talking about presentness of mind as far as one thing you need to be brave about coming in 2023. So those are the markets. Let's talk very briefly about how tech is poning itself and surpassing itself and rendering itself obsolete. Let's talk about the GeoCarb satellite. Yes, tech ends itself by the GeoCarb satellite before it even begins. What do I mean by this? In 2016, a project was started by NASA and the University of Oklahoma and Lockheed Martin to measure greenhouse gas emissions. Greenhouse gases, as you know, has been a major climate change metric for many, many years. NASA said this: the decision to end GeoCarb was not due to anything other than technical concerns, cost performance, and the availability of new alternative data sources. Reminder, they've been at this since 2016. The most anticipated cost of GeoCarb, the most recent anticipated cost calculations of the GeoCarb satellite was $600 million, much higher than the original $170 million estimated in 2016. Well, that's inflation for you. So thanks, government. But I want to point out here that this was not that long ago. 6 years in human time is not that long ago. In 2016, this was going to be the highest, most cutting edge technology for measuring greenhouse gases. Now, GeoCarb would have measured carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and methane in the atmosphere about 4 million measurements a day. That was profound. It was profound in 2016 and it's profound today. However, back in 2019, a series of missions and instruments were sent to the International Space Station. The Earth Surface Mineral Dust Source Investigation, as well as the Orbiting Carbon Observatory 3 and Earth Systems Observatories, all had gone up to the International Space Station in the interim. And even though these are all measuring a variety of things, they found through data analytics that they could extrapolate the exact same data that they were pulling from GeoCarb. Now, this is technology blowing right past itself. Something that was completely cutting edge in 2019 or 2016 that no one had ever heard of. Meanwhile, an ancillary or peripheral series of projects through data analytics and information analytics were able to extrapolate the same data. So instead of spending $170 million, the original cost, or $600 million, the inflated cost as of 2022, they realized that they can get the exact same information for fractions of the cost to the US taxpayer. That is technology blowing right past itself. If you want a link on some of this switcheroo, here's the link. Drop it in the comments too. You should have it in the comments on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or wherever you're watching. Please check that out. But here's the lesson. If you think tech is happening so fast that it's blowing by you, keep in mind that tech is happening so fast that it's blowing right by itself. And that must raise a question in you. And that question is what is so human that technology won't disrupt it? What is so human that technology won't undo it? We've seen technology through AI in a variety of ways that is so consumer ready that it's on Instagram and TikTok filters. We have seen such powerful technology blow by you, blow by itself, disrupt nearly every industry that I believe this is a major contributor to the malaise going on in the workforce at large. What should we even be working on? What of the human condition is still irreplaceable? Let's touch on that just a little bit in today's lesson on the one thing you need to focus on to be brave about in 2023. Let's talk about it. Way back in the day, back in lovely 2007, 2008, I was in my quiet time. Now, my quiet time back then was in Christian prayer, but as I refer to quiet time or intuition on today's show, just know that I'm talking about someone who's taking the time to quiet their mind and get closest to themselves. I was in my quiet time in 2007 and 2008, and it occurred to me that I should go down to a particular coffee shop, which I did. I went down to the coffee shop and I ran into a friend of a coworker where I was working at the time, and his name was Kenny Ellis. And he informed me that he was about to launch out on a venture funded by a bunch of real estate investors to actually help the people of Haiti. And my intuition led me there, and I was looking for this divine encounter. And so I said, hey, could I tag along? My intuition led me to the coffee shop. My intuition led me to ask, hey, could I tag along? Now, that led to me and Kenny Ellis jumping on an airplane and then riding on the back of a moped and a series of trucks all over the entire nation of Haiti back in 2007 and 2008, where we delivered rice. We met a lot of the locals. We heard about the needs and the pain points, and we came back to our investor friends and put together a series of investments that turned into a long-term project in Kenskoff or in Shofar, Haiti, where we built a community center, a school, a church, and brought a series of resources for a series of years to a beautiful group of people. I got there because of what I experienced in my quiet time and listening to my internal voice to go down to that original coffee shop. Now, let me tell you something else that happened like this. Back in 2011, I believe it was, my intuition, I had just gotten off of work and I was listening to my intuition and praying in my car and meditating. And it suddenly occurred to me that I should go down to a particular local coffee shop, which I did. I went to this particular local coffee shop. I didn't know what to expect, but I was listening to my intuition because I loved living a spiritually led journey. I ended up in this coffee shop, and as I sat in this coffee shop working on my laptop, a young girl walked by, and she immediately caught my attention. I ended up talking to this girl. She ended up becoming my wife. I met Marissa because I was listening to my intuition and followed that intuition that led me to a local coffee shop that led me to meet her. She asked about Haiti. We talked about Haiti. We ultimately met for coffee. She visited Haiti several times, and before long, we were engaged. That entire journey, I was certain and confident in my deepest sense of the word that was the direction for my life and that these were good decisions. Were they always logical? Not necessarily, but I had the certainty because I had taken the time to get quiet and alone with myself and listen to my inner voice. This is the intuitive journey. This is the spiritual journey. For those in Christianity, this is the Christian-led journey or the spirit-led journey or the prophetic journey. For those who aren't necessarily into that, but they're more atheistic, this is the oneness that comes up on us when we get quiet with our journal. The best things in my life came from intuition. I'll give you one more example. In 2004, I had an invite to visit family that I was estranged from, to visit with them in Spain on Thanksgiving. I thought about it, I prayed about it, I meditated about it, and I realized I really felt this intuition to join them in Spain for Thanksgiving, and I did. And though it wasn't the easiest of trips, and though it had some ups and downs, when I returned, I also saw a phone number on my phone. Now, for all of us who have a phone, we ignore most inbound phone calls where we don't recognize the number. But in that particular moment, intuition struck me and told me to answer the phone, and I did. I picked up the phone, and it was a person I had met on that trip to Spain, and that person offered to pay for my way to college anywhere I wanted to go. And the quote they said was, "I'll pay for you to go to college anywhere you want to go, so long as it's Harvard." They themselves worked at Harvard. They themselves were networked at Harvard. And little do I know that they got me into Harvard. Now, my intuition then stood up and asked me to ask them, I'll agree as long as you let me take the first semester on semester at sea. It was a long shot, but my intuition told me to do it, and I listened. And that led me to the stories I always tell about my trip with Semester T and the adventure I've lived. Here's my point. The most adventurous parts of my life have come out of a quiet time, a prayer time, a spiritual time, a time that I was so in touch with my internal voice that I call it intuition, God, divine, spirit, or whatever you want to call it. Every adventure of my life, if you've ever read any of my books or have heard any of my stories where I have talked about traveling with the Semester at Sea, doing work in Haiti, living in the Dominican Republic, divinely meeting my wife once and then surprisingly meeting her a year and a half later. There are a lot of divine moments, but when I call them divine, what I mean is this. In a world of complete chaos, we are looking for certainty. In a world where everything changes and the markets are up and the markets are down, and we're being told on one hand it's the worst recession ever, and we're being told on the other that the markets haven't moved so much, and we're being told lots of different things from a lot of different talking heads, we're looking for an internal compass, a sense of north, a sense of up. And where can we find it? Now, a lot of people will turn to religion, and that is a wonderful starting point. The way to get religion right, though, is to let religion guide you to your most internal point. The most internal, solid place that you can trust, your internal voice. And for lack of a better term for today's show, I'm going to call that intuition. We could call it spirit. We could call it oneness. We could call it divinity. We could call it God. We could call it whatever you want to call it. but it is something that is mystical to the human experience still. Though science could explain a lot of it, the takeaway feeling and sense is a sense of certainty about the directions you should take in your life. Now, there's a problem with this, though. In today's society, we are surrounded by life hacks. We are surrounded by side hustles. We are surrounded with things that tell us to run, run, run. And I do agree. A lot of people are not taking action on their dream. And I believe a lot of people should take action on their dream, but not a lot of people are. A lot of people would rather just jump on the next TikTok or watch the next motivational video or reel and just do, which is better than doing nothing or better than complaining or better than being a victim. But in this high ADD pace that we're in, we find very few people take time to be alone with their thoughts. In fact, if anything, they are self-shaming that if there's a quiet moment where they're just journaling, meditating, or listening to themselves, they actually self-shame and get immediately to work. They would rather cold plunge than meditate. Cold plunge is fantastic for your body, fantastic for your system. But if they had a quiet moment and they were asked to meditate, they would much rather dip themselves in icy water than even be alone with their thoughts. They would rather go to the gym for another hour, and I'm a big gym proponent right now, than pray for 15 minutes. They would rather make another sales call or start another business, take a third job than sit and journal their innermost thoughts. People are learning to avoid and become afraid of the quiet time necessary, the boredom necessary, the lack of productivity necessary for them to hear their inner voice. And on top of that, there's problems with listening to your intuition. Listening to your intuition is not always logical. Listening to your intuition does not always help those closest to you. Listening to your intuition will not always make you rich, will not always help you achieve your highest goals. In fact, if anything, it might conflict with those goals. But listening to your intuition will give you a sense of purpose and identity like no one else can do. Listening to your intuition will give you a sense of centeredness, that you are in the middle of your purpose more than any other function or human experience I have ever had. So to that end, let me give you 5 quick tips on the one thing you need to be brave about in 2023. And that one thing you need to be brave about is you need to be brave to face yourself down and ask yourself what you truly want. But deeper than that, you need to ask the highest self, the other self, the spiritual self, your intuition, the oneness of the human species, but it's something so deep that it's primordial in your heart on where you should be and what you should be doing. Not just what you want, but what you should be doing. And they might conflict. Here's my 5 tips on how to do that. Number 1, in 2023, you have got to be alone with your thoughts. Thank you, Sheila Hollowell. I know you'd like this, and I think Doc would like this direction as well. Excellent show, excellent content today. Thank you so much, Sheila. I deeply appreciate that. Number 1, make the time to be alone with your thoughts today. If you are watching this, as soon as the show is over, hit stop, turn off your earbuds, turn off your show, go into the other room and set your clock for 5 minutes and just be quiet. Number 1, make the time to be able, it only takes 5 minutes. And for you to have certainty and confidence about what your innermost self says, where you should be on the planet for the entire rest of the week, because you took time to be alone with yourself for 5 minutes. I think that that's some leveraged time. I heard a quote from Dr. Martin Luther King once, and he said, "Oh, you're extra busy today? You should be on your knees another hour." What good advice. Number 1, make time to be alone with your thoughts. Number 2, please journal your deepest responses to your questions and desires. And I think Sheila just mentioned that her now deceased husband, Bud Hollowell, who was an avatar to many people, a guide to many people, she posted in the show the other day. She said, "Doc would often pray, 'Dear God, please don't listen to me. Please don't answer my prayers.'" I think you should put your petitions to your spirit. I think you should write down your goals and dreams in your journal. But then you should ask a separate question. And that separate question is, apart from these egotistical, ego-driven needs where I might not be seeing the full picture, dear Divine One, point me in the right direction. Give me a sense of purpose and show me what to do. And I just assume goodness will come my way per you. Or if challenges come, the strength to endure. So my second my second step to being brave this year is this: journal your deepest desires and questions. Write down the answers no matter what they are, especially if they conflict with your desire. Write down the answers. You might say, I want a brand new car. And the spirit might come along and tell you, hey, why don't you put money away for that real estate? And you're thinking, real estate's about to take a dump. Me and Marissa are putting money away for real estate because it's going to take a dump. Maybe for the first time, it will align your finances to finally step into the cycle of investment and profiting. Or maybe it will prepare you for an emergency you never saw coming. Not that you shouldn't, not that it's not good to own a brand new car, not that it's not good to have the desires of your heart. Write them down, be honest about them. But then open your heart to asking, but where should I be with my time, my energy, my money, my resources? And sometimes the answers may surprise you and they may not align with what you think you want. That's okay. But the journey and the quest, the internal quest, is the most important one. That was number 2, journal your deepest responses to your deepest desires. Number 3, please appeal to those closest to you. The tough thing about an intuitive journey, a spirit-led journey, a God-led journey, the tough thing about that is quite often it defies logic, quite often it defies wisdom, quite often it is not safe. Your accountability partners are those closest to you. Let them know that you are beginning or at least realigning with an intuitive journey. And though you will always respect them and you will always be kind and you will always be conscientious, sometimes it might take you on a quest that's way off of what everyone else thinks is best for you. Let them know that this will not be easy and there will be challenges. But I cannot emphasize enough to you that every adventure I've ever been on has come from a quiet time. Now, I've had a lot of good things. Marissa and I have traveled parts of the world and we'll travel more. We've hiked and seen beautiful things and have seen wonderful things in the world. We've lived abroad. We've traveled. We've done missionary work all over. We've written books. But I will tell you that the experience of adventure that I have had in this world has been limited as a fruit to me following an intuitive journey. So though there will be challenges and though you will need to appeal to your partners as accountability partners and supporters, they don't necessarily have to follow you. They just need to encourage and support you. But there will be challenges and it will not be easy. Number 4, here's the one that you just have to remember from today's show. You have to be brave. If you actually feel in your deepest spirit to start another business, do it. Your haters will hate no matter what. You don't have to worry about those consequences. The consequences are negligible from the haters in your life. It's those who love you. Those who love you will try to protect you. Those who love you are used to you acting a certain way with a certain pattern. And they will be the ones to challenge your intuition journey because quite often what it will do is conflict with theirs. And that's okay. That's why you appeal to them. That's why step 3 is appeal to those closest to you. Let them know what's coming. But number 4, be brave, because no matter how much people say they support you, when you actually start following your intuitional journey, there will be jealousy, there will be frustration, there will be resource allocation. If you promised that you were going to save money and put money to this one cause, whether it's in your marriage or in your family, for your kids, for your business partners, but intuition suddenly puts a hold on that, you can imagine that's going to get people's danders up. And they're going to demand logic, and you're going to try your best to give them logic. But at some point, you're going to have to answer. It just doesn't feel right. And you're going to have to be brave for the hate and the consequence that will come because of that. So gird yourself. And where do you find that bravery? You find it in the same place you found your intuition. You find your bravery in the quiet times. You find your bravery in prayer. You find your bravery in your journal. When you put your petitions before this thing and say, I'm genuinely scared about taking this direction. What should I do? And you listen to the words that flow out from your deepest place. And you say, oh man, but it came from something other than me. It came from human consciousness. It came from God. It came from my spirit. And that confidence itself will gird your bravery. Number 4, be brave. And number 5, quite simply, even if you don't have all the bravery you need, even if you don't have all the confidence you need, remember, you have to move forward regardless. We're only promised, only guaranteed, we only know about one life on this loop. Now, the avatars have spoken throughout the centuries and millennia and point to maybe we get another crack at this. And that might be. And I'm not going to question that. But all I can say for certain is I'm given this life. And this life isn't just made to be living the Instagram dream, perfect abs, traveling the world with a perfect tan and a perfect partner and passive income that comes in every single month because you're the smartest person on the planet. That sounds good, and I'm fighting for it, and I think you should fight for it too. But there's no guarantee because sometimes you can have those things and your experience while you have them is not one of joy, one of mystery, one of adventure, one of an extraordinary life. Those elements only come, at least in my small experience, moments where you not only have the gift of the thing, but you have the second gift. And the second gift is appreciation for that thing. The second gift is this is a fulfillment of a promise to me from my innermost self being fulfilled in real time. Your real goals, your true goals, the surprising goals that you weren't even smart enough to write down, but intuition, spirit, God led you there. That level of fulfillment only comes from a quiet place, from an intuitive place, from an inner voice. So you have to move forward anyway. You have to follow consequences anyway and pray and hope that those around you still love you, still support you, and still will be around. But also welcome the adventure of new faces, new names to support you as well. The one thing you need to be brave in 2023 is boldness for an internally led journey because it's the only way to fulfillment. I remember I just confessed to my lovely wife, Marissa. God bless her. She put together this great trip to Iceland a few years back. And I truly, paradoxically, I loved it. But paradoxically, I was extraordinarily challenged. I was dealing with depression and I had a want attitude and I was ruining it for her. And I knew that. And I finally was able to articulate to her just this morning. I apologize for that because the challenge I was having is I loved what I was experiencing and it was a true gift. But I wasn't led here by my internal spirit, and I missed that. I love that. I love carrying that spirit led journey with me wherever I go. And for those who have experienced it, you know what I'm talking about. For those who haven't experienced it, I'm probably talking about something completely frou-frou, but I am telling you it's this pure fulfillment, pure joy comes in the surprising moments that are only delivered when you have an enriched internal life. And that's what I'm encouraging you to be brave for in 2023. Why are we talking about this? Well, the world's all over the place and it can feel chaotic at times, but quite honestly, it's just louder and more colorful right now. It's always been this chaotic and this distracting. It's always been this frustrating and this confusing. I'm talking about this today to cut through the noise and to encourage you to find your deepest self. But no matter what you do today, remember the mission, igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own. Have a great day.